We like dogs. Dog's on board, dog's got to go, that's where he goes. This is a Westport 50-metre 6-cabin yacht built in 2009 but refitted just last year in 2022. 499 gross tonnes. It is an excellent example of a Westport 50 metres. As I say, 6-cabin yacht, 2,500 nautical mile range. But more than that, it's got a few surprises inside that I just wasn't expecting, and it's got a really interesting, versatile interior, whether you're looking to charter or use it for private use only. Let's get you on board and show you around Quantum of Solace. I'm Carl Richardson and you're watching YachtBuyer. Welcome aboard this Westport 50 metre, 164 feet, as I said. We're standing here on the main deck aft and we're going to take you through into the main deck salon. But while we're here, it's worth reflecting on that adage about this main deck, this huge main deck area on super yachts being a dead area, a place that you transition through, no more. That is not the case on this Westport. We've got this fantastic marble top bar, table. This feels like a place you can use, and it is used. These boats are exclusively bought by American owners, used in America. It's a quirk, not a contractual obligation, and they really use this main deck aft. I think it's a great thing. Anyway, we're going to start our tour proper as we go into the main deck salon. So welcome inside. What you're seeing here is a fairly straightforward standard Westport 50 metre layout, but what isn't standard is the level of finish. That was very much down to the owner, the new build owner at the time, and it's got that absolutely classical Westport sense of quality, solid woods mixed with very, very luxurious, high quality fabrics. It's got a kind of Four Seasons feel to it, that kind of high-end hotel. In this main deck cabin, it is noticeably larger than, say, the 40 metre Westport. We've got a larger dining area, more sense of width across the boat, but in terms of furnishings for this model, that would be very much down to the owner himself or herself. Great gallery windows to each side, and now we're going to continue through along the lobby and into the main deck owner's stateroom. So before we get into the owner's stateroom, just want to take in this lobby, and it is a proper main deck lobby. Behind that door there we have an elevator serving the 3 main decks. And obviously we have stairs up to the bridge deck and down to the lower deck accommodation, but we're going to go forward. So the first stop on our owner's stateroom tour is this, the owner's study and private lounge area. Great spot for the desk with its own little window there, or big window in fact. And you can imagine owner's artworks and, you know, that sense of privacy, that sense of personality coming through. And then as we come through the study, we're now into the main event. We're into the owner's stateroom. Standard layout we're looking at here on a Westport 50 metre. So we have our facing berth, we have a walk-in closet, not the largest closet, but obviously there's lots more storage all the way around this cabin. But what is big is the his and hers bathroom, which I'm going to walk into now. And this really is a big ensuite, running pretty much the full beam, but it's the headroom here. I've been informed that we've had a few basketball players on board this boat, and they're very impressed with the shower room. I'm guessing a basketball player is probably a yacht designer's worst nightmare, but they liked it, so Westport have done well. So we've got his and hers toilets, shower sitting centrally, but again, loaded with quality details. The stonework, the furnishings, the fabrics, leather finishes. It's a very big and impressive ensuite, and obviously we have the central bath there as well. So as an ensuite, the his and hers, very popular with owners, we know, very impressed. So that was the owner's main deck stateroom. We're now going to go below decks for the guest accommodation. So we have 4 cabins below decks, 2 symmetrical sets of cabins. We're going to start here with these 2 aft doubles. King size berth. I mean, these would be VIPs on most yachts, but there's that, again, that real sort of Four Seasons feel to these cabins because of the finish, the mix of the cabinetries and linings and wallpaper, something you don't often see on boats, but it's all very very well executed marble tops to the bedside tables, and lots of floor space, and more importantly lots and lots of stowage space in that entranceway. And then we have another very ornate, but in a good way, ensuite. The stonework in the ensuite is absolutely fantastic, and actually that's no accident, because we've looked at a few Westports now and the stonework is always absolute top quality. So we're into now one of the smaller guest cabins, but I use the word smaller relatively speaking. In actual fact, I really love these cabins because they've had to work that bit harder to make it all work, and it flows beautifully round into the ensuite. So we've got lots more stowage. All of the storage on this boat, particularly the hanging wardrobes, are all cedar lined. That's standard. Got this beautiful little desk here. I really like this recessed area. There's a little stool in there. Feels like a little snug. That stool will come across, and then you've got your little writing desk area. But you've still got a huge double bed. No small queen size beds on this boat. And going back to that ensuite, again, just incredible stonework on there. The amount of detail on the boat, and particularly on the ensuites, is just first class. So as I say, we have 4 cabins down here. We have 2 symmetrical cabins of this size, and then those larger symmetrical sort of VIP cabins behind here as well. So that was the lower deck guest accommodation. We're now going to move to the bridge deck, where there is a somewhat fantastic surprise waiting for us. So we're now on the bridge deck lobby area. We have another day head and the elevator access for this level, and we're going to go through into the bridge deck lounge. So this is the upper deck lounge. We have a bar in the entranceway here, and we have a set of doors out to a very wide side deck terrace really, and we're coming through into fairly conventional upper deck as you would expect on a 50-metre Westport. We have plenty of seating. See this as being a very private and obviously elevated lounge area, and depending on which Westport you're looking at, the finish and layout would be slightly different in terms of furniture, but the space will remain, as will these glorious windows running to each side. So as I say, a fairly straightforward upper deck lounge or bridge deck lounge. But there's a twist, because while some Westport 50s came with an upper deck lounge like this, some came with something else, and we're going to show you. This is the bridge deck VIP, but it's actually a lot more than that, and it changes not only the way I think about the cabin configuration on this boat, it kind of changes the whole boat as well. So what we have here is a private elevated suite with a fantastic walk-in closet area, a great ensuite, and its own private starboard side terrace. You can get some freestanding furniture out there. This then becomes its own self-contained stateroom. But there's another way of looking at this cabin. Imagine this as being the owner's cabin. Then that changes the way we look at the upper deck lounge and the aft deck completely. I'll show you what I mean. We have a fantastic stateroom here. We have a walk-in wardrobe. Okay, the ensuite is not quite as big as that main deck stateroom. The cabin is not quite as big as that main deck stateroom that we looked at before. But then you get something else. So now we've seen that bridge deck stateroom, it sort of changes the way that we look at this entire level on the boat, because what we now have is a private owner's deck, if indeed the owner wants to use that as their stateroom. But for charter, for instance, this could also just become a private deck for one charter guest with another private deck on the main deck for another charter guest. But so the flexibility, the versatility is fantastic, but I just can't look beyond this now as being anything other than a fantastic private owner's deck. And obviously, not only do you then win your own lounge here, but you then got your own aft deck out there, and that's where we're going to head now, out on deck. So we're on the bridge deck aft. Remember, we have those 2 terraces running each side. They're like balconies on themselves because the decks are so deep to each side. They're like balconies, incredible. And now we're on this aft deck, and this is completely given over to social space. We have this big dining table here. We've got lounge seating at the back. We've got shades overhead, but obviously this can be open to be used for sunbathing or to be outside. We've got wet bars, we've got a full bar on that side, we've got barbecue station here, lifestyle all over the place. So this is a great deck, and as I say, if you are using this as a private deck for an owner or a charter client, you just can't get better than this at 50 meters. But whilst this probably would make a great dining area served by these barbecue and wet bar stations, we do then have the sun deck itself up these stairs, and that's where we're going to go next. The sun deck. So the Westport 50 meter, this is a tri-deck yacht, and obviously what a tri-deck gets you or can give you is a full sun deck, and that's exactly what we've got here. So we have this big open expanse, we have these canopies overhead, somewhat thankfully, but you can see the expanse of open deck you've got here, and obviously that will be laid out as you will find your particular Westport 50 meter. Here you can see there's a crane running across the back. Now that's not for the tender's on the foredeck, which we're going to head to. That is just for launching PWCs. There are little cradle points here for those, but as we have it laid out, this is in full lifestyle sunbathing mode. We've got storage and engineering sections along here, and as we come forward then, we have some more merciful shade underneath this hardtop section, and we have the wet bar, grill, ice makers. There's a day head over to the side there, and then as we keep pushing through beyond these glass partitions, and really what that's doing is it's just stopping the wind from driving through. So although you're outside, you're up on this deck, you're also really well protected. So we're going to keep pushing through here, and now we're into another open section. So we have a wet bar there, we have a very wet bar here, so we have this beautiful little surround of marble here for the spa pool, and then there's a wraparound sun pad there. So this is an expanse of sun deck that you rarely see on a yacht of 50 meters. And when we are seeing it coming through, I remember we looked at the Majesty 120 recently that had a very good sun deck on it, but still nothing really up to this level. This is what you're winning with that 50 meter size. So that was the sun deck. Very impressed I was too. And behind here we have a little useful stairwell that's going to take us back down, and we'll go and look at the foredeck. So in typical Westport fashion, we have a sort of split between the luxury foredeck and the working foredeck. Slightly unusually on this boat, we have the main tender launch and recovery down there on the foredeck, and obviously that does limit slightly, because you're on the taper of the bow, the size of the tender you can have. On other 50 meter boats, we have the tender on the aft bridge deck, or indeed even on the sun deck, but obviously that eats into your social space there as well. So there's compromises. This owner's decided to have the crane and his tender down there. Works perfectly well, and obviously you're slightly lower to the water, so hopefully launch and recovery will be easier. But anyway, what's left is this sun pad here, nice spot. If you're in port, moored stern to, we know these work so well. If you're out at sea going along at 10 or 12 knots, this is going to be a great spot as well. And obviously, as you can see, we have the sun awnings up here as well to protect guests, but obviously this area can be completely opened up. So that was the foredeck. There's access up here from the main deck, side decks up to this spot, so we can now go back down those side stairs onto the main deck, and we'll finish where we came in on the main deck aft. So we're now back on the main deck, and you may have seen these little grass areas dotted around. I wanted to point that out. It's for the owner's dog. We like dogs. Dog's on board, dog's got to go, that's where he goes. So that concludes our tour of the decks, and it does feel right and proper to finish that particular part of the yacht here on the main deck aft, simply because of how these boats are used, as I was saying. And it feels like an area that you will actually use and enjoy. So we've looked at the interior, we've looked at the decks. We're now going to look at the crew and technical areas on board, and we're going to start with the bridge. The bridge on this 50 metre yacht is exactly what you would hope it would be. We've got this elevated guest seating here and a table. Obviously that can be used for the crew. They can have charts out here, or some of their passage planning. We've got plenty of storage across the back. More importantly though, we have this vast console running all the way across here. You've got loads and loads of planning area to each side of the central helm station, and then we've got these two rather handsome looking leather helm seats looking forward, and the view forward over the top of the console, the dash area, is excellent right the way easily across the bow there. So we've got plenty of screens. We've got the 4 on this boat. Obviously there's 5, sorry, one's not turned on. So you've got space for all of your navigation, all of your ship systems, everything in one place. In terms of performance, top speed of around 22 knots, cruising at 10 to 12 knots, well then you're looking at a range of around 2,500 nautical miles. The boat's running fin stabilizers, and as with all Westports, she's got that shallow draft, so she's very happy pushing along at 20 knots, 18 to 20 knots all day. So you've got a very dynamic hull underneath this boat now. So whether you want to go long distance cruising, really using that 2,500 nautical mile range, or you want to go and cruise around the Bahamas for a season, this boat will look after you very well indeed. So that was the bridge deck, but then we've got a very useful captain's area just aft of here, and we'll go and have a look at that now. So we've just come aft from the bridge deck, and we're in what is, I'm sure, a very useful area for the captain. The captain's cabin just behind here, double berth and ensuite in there, but this area, so important. So we've got a great spot here for passage planning, sorting out the crew rotations and what have you. It's so important for the captain to be able to run his boat, such a responsible position, so much weight on their shoulders, and so to be able to have a proper study area like this is first class. So that was the bridge deck and the captain's area. We're now going to go down the level and look at the galley area. So the galley on this boat spreads itself all the way along this main deck. It's quite an impressive area and actually a very intelligent layout. So we have cold storage through there, and there's a lot of it. There are 2 huge ice makers. I've never seen an ice maker so big. And as we run down, we've got a food preparation and serving area down here. But then because the cold storage is down there, because we have this serving and preparation area here, the galley itself through here is left to focus on the cooking aspect. I mean, you've still got huge cold storage drawers and freezers and what have you, but really it just means this is the food prep area. This is where all the cooking happens, because you've got everything else pushed away. So I really like that design of giving specific areas to each of those very important facets of the cuisine on board the yacht. So you can just see it's a proper commercial level kitchen all around. We have fryers, ovens, hobs. Just feels like a proper working area. Huge deep twin sinks over here, and I love that we can see this is a galley that's being seriously used, and it seems to stand up very, very well. But like I say, I think it's just that very thoughtful layout that really makes the galley on this Westport. So that was the galley area. We had the pantry, cold storage, and obviously the main cooking area here. Now we're going to go a little further forward, down the stairwell and into the crew quarters. So here we are in the crew quarters, and it is a very good crew quarters. You can see this mess area spreading all the way around there. So important to look after the crew, so important that they've got space to relax, switch off. They've got their own galley area tucked through there, and we're going to show you into one of the cabins as well. And just behind here then we have a very good utility area, washing machines and what have you, and then there's that direct access to the guest accommodation from here. So in terms of looking after the cabins, the stews on board, they can get easy access into the guest quarters as well directly from here. From the crew area, we're then going to move aft and go and look at the engine bay. So the engine bay on Quantum of Solace is split into 3 defined areas. As we came through there, wanted to point out the shore power converters there. That means this boat can plug in anywhere in the world and get its shore power feed without any worries at all. To each side of the bay we have 99 kilowatt generators, and then obviously the main event here, MTUs, that's what's pushing the boat along at over 20 knots. And then as we move around onto the starboard side there, we've got brand new water makers and a brand new air conditioning system fitted just in the last couple of years. So again, rather like with the galley, everything's been thought through. You've got a workshop area, but because everything's been split up, it allows the engineers on the boat, A, to have the room to work, but also to separate things out and it just creates a very tidy workman-like engine bay. So a few things have really stood out to me walking around Quantum of Solace. The big one is this boat was built in 2009. Yes, it was refitted quite recently, but it feels like a new yacht. A lot of that credit must go to the owners, but a lot of it must also go to Westport as well, with its, I think, excellent build quality, which you just see everywhere across the yacht. And to be honest, it's hard to think of a better 50-metre yacht. With that 6-cabin layout, it's hard to think of a better 50-metre yacht. In fact, it's hard to think of a better 60-metre yacht. So if you like what you've seen, I can only suggest you take a closer look at Quantum of Solace. Thanks for watching. I'm Carl Richardson. This is YachtBuyer. If you'd like to see more of what we're doing, please do click over here. And if you want to subscribe to our channel, it's here. Thanks again.